welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily television platform for small businesses. We bring you the right information to empower you, the MSME entrepreneur. We travel across India to bring your top questions, your top queries, as well as your thoughts to our experts. Tonight, we bring you highlights of a panel discussion that I did in Hyderabad. We travel across the length and breadth of the country to connect better with you. I did this panel discussion on the theme of the emerging Silicon Valley of the East. I posed that question to our panelists. Here's what they had to say. Listen. We start our panel discussion this evening, the theme of which is Hyderabad, Emerging Silicon Valley of the East. I want to start today's panel discussion, if I may, on a positive note and talk about perhaps what have been the biggest changes that Hyderabad has seen in the last, say, 4, 5, 6 years that perhaps is leading towards a lot of people saying that this is definitely becoming a strong contender, is definitely emerging as a bigger contender or a bigger place for IT companies, for tech to really take place than, say, a Bangalore, a Mumbai, or a Delhi. And in no particular order, maybe I can start with my right.
So last 5, 6 years, right? I would see actually a drastic change in terms of the overall infrastructure that was there. In fact, just in the last year, we have seen the MNCs that are coming in. You have Amazon coming in. You have Uber making an announcement that's going to be here. All of these are extremely positive signs that actually showcase how Hyderabad is attracting really good companies in here. I can actually share one of the experience that I had recently. I had gotten one of our customers from the US here. And I would say, the journey right from airport to the high-tech city, he was impressed. So that's and in fact, we went to T-Hub, where he saw all the startups that were there, and he was super impressed with the infrastructure that was in there and all the startups. So I would say it's done a lot.
Okay. I know I said 5 to 6 years, but if you want to look at a slightly longer time frame as well, go ahead, Srinivas.
So I think a lot's changed, actually. 5 years ago, in fact, we were just looking at this document. There was one angel network. There were only a couple of seed funds. There were a handful of academic incubators. And there was TIE. And a bunch of enthusiastic startup founders without a lot of structure, not enough density at that point. Today, it's drastically different. There are 4 angel networks. There's multiple seed funds here. We have the largest number of DST-funded incubators in the country. Many, many things have changed in terms of density. In fact, I believe according to your story, there were 2,000 startups registered in Hyderabad. So that's one thing, is just density. I think culture has shifted a lot too. 5 years ago, one of the things that was very common for startup founders was a lot of them were in their 20s, and they would come and say things like, I've got to make my startup a success within the next 3 years, because after that I need to get married and no one will marry a startup founder. That's a cultural shift. Today, startups are cool. A bunch of people are doing amazing things. So culture has changed a lot. I think the other thing that's interesting about Hyderabad is that it's a very integrated ecosystem, consciously that way. It's always been very close. Every single person within the ecosystem is aware of what else is going on. And we've tried to develop that further with T-Hub. The idea for T-Hub was, can one organization kind of unite all of these pieces and do things that will amplify everything going on and also help startups to scale?
Sure. But what do you think the single largest driving factor maybe that you've seen, which has changed in the last couple of years?
I think it's just things bubbling up and kind of reaching a critical mass. Like say when we started Startup Saturday or the Tripwire Incubator 10 and a half years back, there was hardly any activity happening in the city. TIE used to do a little bit, TIE ISB Connect was happening, but TIE ISB Connect was more a national platform. So not much happening in the city, but we were seeing, I mean, we kept doing it, whether it's incubators or like TIE or Hyderabad Angels started in 2011. And I still remember the early conversation in Hyderabad Angels, some of the angels that were there saying like, where are the startups? And why are there no good startups? And then the whole thing was like, we need to develop, we need to mentor, so we need to invest more time. And I think a lot of efforts were going on from different fronts, and I think they're all bubbling up now, right? I mean, if you look at some of the startups doing well now, maybe they've all started 3-4 years back, right? And then new startups are starting. If the kind of startups you see, I agree with Srini, the quality of thinking and the depth that the founders have is definitely much, much better than what it used to be some years back. I think it's generally, it's not that the quality of people is any different. I'm sure the same kind of people were doing it 5-6 years back also. I think they have access to more people they can talk to now, and there's more information available. And so I think they quickly develop their idea and refine their ideas, I think, than what could happen earlier. So, and definitely if you look at, like, since TUP started on our campus, we pivoted to becoming a deep tech incubator. When we decided to be deep tech, it was just an aspiration, hope, right? And we did find some good starters, but it was very difficult. I mean, 2 years back, not even too long, just 2 years back. But today, like, we just did the last cohort 2 months back, and the quality of startups, amazing. We found 8 amazing startups, and which we used to struggle to get maybe 2, even a year before, or like definitely 2 years before.
Sure.
And the quality has gone up. I think it is generally all the efforts.
It's just a coming together of a lot of factors.
Yes, they're all coming together and falling in place, and
Sure.
I think we're beginning to see the traction.
Would you say that perhaps is the biggest change that you've seen?
Actually, I need to take this journey a little bit back. Since mid-90s, right, when Chandrababu Naidu was the chief minister, the inauguration of the cyber towers is what pivoted Hyderabad from a good old economy to a new age economy. Otherwise, Hyderabad, I mean, I'm very surprised when other people compare Hyderabad with Bombay, Bangalore, or why should we compare with any other cities? Hyderabad, its own might, was very strong. We are a city of heritage. We are the city which bankrolled a bankrupt country good old years ago. So we are very, very proud Hyderabadis for that fact. Praga tools came out of here, Alvin, you know, today the DRDO. I mean, the enormous amount of MSMEs, enormous amount of pharma, biotech comes out of Hyderabad. Now, what has happened, as Ramesh rightly pointed out, see, in 2011-12, when I was heading TIE, we were trying to struggle to get the startups which were looking at tech to enable all these various industries. And you see the culmination of all these efforts from mid-90s to now and bubbling up to create that effervescence, I would put it. But otherwise, Hyderabad, as Srini said, a very, very integrated, deep-rooted society in which entrepreneurship is part of it.
And it is just that the opinion makers and influencers are all right now, unfortunately, outside of city, which we will change. I think Srini and others are rapidly changing it, and in the next 1 or 2 years, we will change that. But today, they're all outside still. The Tractions and the Yo Stories and the Inc. 42s and the ET startups, even ET startup, it's all from Bangalore, right? I keep giving them, I know many of them, I keep giving them grief. The only one that was writing from here also has moved to Bangalore. So they don't have the feet on the ground. The data is grossly incorrect.
All right. Would both of you agree, disagree?
So one thing I have to say is, as you can tell, Hyderabadis are very passionate. We will defend it to the death. But,
With facts. With facts.
With facts. Having said that, I do, look, as an entrepreneur, and we're all entrepreneurs here on this stage as well in various capacities, right? We have 2 roles. One is to portray the best of what we do. But the other side is to also know where we stand and where we need to improve. So I'll address that side as well. At the end of the day, we are a nascent ecosystem. As we were saying, 10 years back, there was not much going on here, whereas Bangalore has a history of having this. What that enabled was that there are a bunch more people in Bangalore who have raised funding, succeeded, come out and done a second venture, and are there to guide other startups. We don't have as many of those people here, unfortunately. That's changing now. That's one big piece, is that we're making a really strong effort to bring in leadership, bring in mentors from elsewhere. Because Hyderabad, the other thing that we didn't talk about that we're really good at is we've exported incredible leaders around the world, right? You talk about Satya Nadella, you talk about, Shantanu Narayan at Adobe. We've got so many guys at the global level from Hyderabad. Bringing some of those back to mentor our startups, that's happening as well.
So essentially the ecosystem which also needs to then keep pace with the innovation that is happening here. Anything that you want to add, Vineel?
I mean, looking at the statistics, it basically looks like if you remove the investment into Flipkart, I mean, we are at par with what the investments have been done in Bangalore. And it also means, with all the news that has not come up, it also means Hyderabad may not be flamboyant. We just mean business. We do our thing and get it right.
Yeah, actually, just one last point on that, which is that, look, again, we're a very integrated ecosystem, and we're taking a structured approach to building out our startup success stories, right? We're taking segments that we're already good at, so life sciences, for example, or agriculture, or things of that nature. I think that gives us one advantage. And give it some more time, I think you'll see Hyderabad really, really picking up. The other thing is, I think that a lot of our startups right now, we are focusing not on the valuation game, because our VCs are also not sitting here. We're focusing on how do we get them customers, how do we get them revenue, and a lot of our corporate innovation programs are exactly that. Even our government stuff, we're working with the government to make sure that the government is a customer. So they're working with 14 of our startups right now. So a lot of these strategies will pay dividends, and I think that's what will put us ahead in the long run.
Okay, time for a quick break. Much more on the other side on whether indeed Hyderabad is the emerging Silicon Valley of the East. Highlights of a panel discussion in Hyderabad coming up on the other side. Just stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight continuing to bring you highlights of panel discussion that we did in Hyderabad, talking about the opportunities and challenges and whether Hyderabad is indeed ready to overtake Bengaluru as the Silicon Valley here in India. Take a listen to what our experts had to say. I just want to pick up on something that Ramesh said. Discounting in some sense the data that you had received, saying don't read too much into data. But this is a piece of data that I think everyone here on this panel and this audience will perhaps like, that the quality of living index that's put out globally by Mercer has ranked Hyderabad as the top city to live in as far as quality of life is concerned 3 years in a row.
Absolutely.
On that note, my question is, how do you ensure that a lot of cities like Mumbai, Delhi, etc., are perhaps losing a lot of people, because just as important as it is for an entrepreneur to chase the money, I'm assuming that quality of life will come very close to building that ecosystem. So my question is, what needs to be put in place by way of infrastructure urgently in Hyderabad, maybe one or two things to ensure that you are building on that base?
Sunanda, so great question, great point, right? One of the things which we are lucky is that we have a very young, dynamic minister in the name of K.T. Ramarao. One of the first things, in fact, Srini, Ramesh, and I had the pleasure of working with him very, very closely from the day one when he has taken over as the minister. And one of the key points which we made was that infrastructure point. And he ensured, and today you can see a lot of work going around the Banjara Hills, high-tech city area, Gachibowli, where the bottleneck areas of the traffic is, so that we do not become either a Delhi or a Bangalore from that point of view. And he is taking extremely progressive steps, and we have two extremely progressive bureaucrats who is heading the municipality and urban development in Arvind Kumar, and Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, who is the Principal Secretary for Industries and IT. These two guys, along under the leadership of KTR, are leaving no stone unturned, right, to make sure that infrastructure bottlenecks are not there. I mean, we are completely, I mean, unbelievable flyovers, unbelievable road network. Within the cities, there are either wherever possible, it is a 4-lane or 6-lane. I think if you come back to Hyderabad after 2 years, you will see this as like at par with any other city outside the country. So that's what is happening.
Okay, but my question is also a slightly broader question, a slightly bigger question to say, yes, great, this present government is doing a lot, but what should the government be doing to ensure that you maintain that advantage?
So a couple of things. I think one is that, as you said, I mean, you're going to hear a lot of us talking about the minister, by the way, because we all work with him closely. Amazing vision. So physical infrastructure is one piece of it, making sure that we don't have the traffic, the burning lakes that Bangalore has, or things of that nature, right? But the other side is equally important, which is culture. So again, one of the first things that the minister did as right at the beginning, which seems like nothing to do with his portfolios, was open up microbrewery licenses. It was giving tax breaks to music companies to do concerts in Hyderabad. Because one of the things that he learned from a lot of the corporate leaders was, if you want people to move here, it's got to be a fun place to live. And so that stuff has been continuing. You did a street art festival, get more of the creatives in. So there's a real focus on culture as well as physical infrastructure. And I think that's what is really going to make the difference for us.
One place, just taking the other side of the view, one place where we have to do much, much better as a city is public transport. I think I think AP and Bangalore and Hyderabad used to compete to be the worst transport corporations in the country. Like in my growing up, especially when you compare with Chennai, which I know very well, or Mumbai and other places, both were terrible. Hyderabad bus transport has to get better. Thankfully, the metro is almost, meaning partly operational, bulk of it is going to get operational next month or so, and which is, by the way, one of the fastest metros to reach 40 kilometers. When the next phase opens, it will be longer than Bangalore, which started almost 4 years earlier. And I think bus transport is one place. If you have to look at where should we do, even roads, like Murali said, I think this city has always been proactive when it comes to road infrastructure. I mean, not wait for traffic to get unbearable and then kind of wait, but fairly proactive. Things are getting worse, start to do something. Roads is good, metro is going to help. Those are very good. Bus transport is one which, if we do something about it, more people will use buses also. I mean, today, part of the traffic problem is like public transport is so bad that most people feel this is the only way to do it. That's one, I think. I'm sure they will do. There's some activities happening, but I'm sure like everything is getting fixed, even this will get fixed.
All right. Another thing which Hyderabad seems to have gotten right, and that's as far as being an R&D hub is concerned. You have a lot of MNC tech companies which for years now have had a strong base in the city. So my question is, how do you ensure that you continue maintaining that advantage? What perhaps are some of the lessons that other cities that are looking at Hyderabad, tier 2, tier 3, that are saying, we want to perhaps have this ecosystem as well, because that's so crucial for the entrepreneurship ecosystem. What are some of the lessons?
So I'll take a first stab at it, and I know Ramesh and Murali both have things to say about this piece, but Hyderabad, one of the things that a lot of people don't know is that this city has the maximum number of CSIR funded institutes in the country, central government funded. And it's across defense, life sciences, agriculture, a whole bunch of things. So they've always been powerhouses of IP, of research, etc. But the negative part was that they were locked within their institutes. That knowledge was not getting out. So in the last 1 year, the government formed a new entity called RICH, which is the Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad, headed by Mr. Ajit Ranganekar, who used to be the head of ISB. And the idea there is, how do you take that research out of these research labs and make them available for commercialization or for startups to use? So again, and tie that back into the entire ecosystem of T-Hub, T-Works, all these other things that are going on. So the research is actually being commercialized. So I think that's something that's unique that's happening here.
And one other fact related to that, I mean, that's one. I mean, 27, 28 central government non-academic research labs, largest in the country, I believe, in any single location. And there's the other part which, again, very few know. If you look at it from a city ecosystem standpoint, the defense research, I mean, the missile program, not even the defense research, there are other DRDO labs as well here. The missile program alone spends as much as the IT industry in the city. That's a very, very less known fact outside. And the whole missile program for the country is from concept and early research all the way through manufacturing is in Hyderabad. And the whole ancillary units that go, just that these are not connected outside, so nobody knows, even we don't know. We've been trying to, those same ancillary units can do some fantastic stuff for physical product startups. You just can't get them because they're just happy doing the work for defense and like water contracts. But there's phenomenal engineering. I've visited a few, the kind of precision engineering or the kind of materials they work with, just that they do work only for defense. One single customer they will have. But that's another aspect. And if in the last few years, in fact, like I heard this for the first time from Ajit many years back when he talked about this IP log. And in the more recent years, at least in IIIT, I know IIIT very well, but even I see the same thing happening in other places. There are a lot of efforts underway to translate research and bring it out into the industry and into the startup ecosystem. I mean, like today, if I just look at the startups working with our own, just in one institute, the same thing happens in many other places. There are at least 25 startups working with our faculty today, which was almost 0 2 years back. And these are startups doing work at a level where a research lab's guidance will help. And our professors are not going to work with somebody if they think it's not going to be used, kind of worth their time.
Sure.
So a lot of it happening in the recent years.
So commercialization of research in some sense.
I just want to add, I just want to give you a perspective about the Hyderabad leaders, how progressive their thought process is. See, Srini mentioned about RICH. The origin of RICH happened in 2013 when Kiran Kumar Reddy was the chief minister. When TIE had conducted the TIE ISB Connect, in one of the roundtable which we had with the 12 people, we presented the idea of how other countries are doing. So the Kiran Kumar Reddy immediately, within 1 week, he sanctioned 10 crore rupees for ISB to conduct a research and come up with a paper which translated into RICH, right? Today, Lockheed Martin, you're talking about MNCs, how do we hold? I mean, Lockheed Martin, one of the largest, or I would rather say the largest defense contractor in US, is setting up its subsidiary or whatever, how in whatever shape or form allowed by the regulation in Hyderabad, because the fabricators.
Boeing as well with.
Boeing of course has in the Tatas, this thing in the huge in Shamshabad, right? Through the help of MSMEs, your audience, because that kind of fabrication they cannot get in any other part of the country. So that is how we continue to attract the MNCs.
I mean, nothing much to add here because they have all the statistics are already out now, right? So, I mean, commercialization of the R&D, there have been investments happening right in IIIT and all the startups that are coming out right there, right from IIIT Avishkar, and also companies coming in to work with the colleges itself to do the R&D right from the college. And in fact, Microsoft's largest R&D center is in Hyderabad.
Absolutely. That's our show tonight. Do let us know what you thought of that panel discussion. And if you have any feedback, any commentary, we love hearing from you. Here's how you get in touch. leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com is our official email ID. You can also get in touch with us on social media. Sunanda_J is my personal Twitter handle. LOT_ET now is our official Twitter handle. You can also get in touch with us on Facebook, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now. Thanks very much for watching. Have a good night.